Hello, so this is the review on the interior and exterior angles. So let's get started here. Let us say we have a triangle, some sort of triangle, and we'll call them angle ABC. Now, angle A goes from 50 to 60, and then angle B goes from 90 to 100. Now, how about angle C? In fact, angle C will be the greatest if the other two angles are smallest. For example, if you have 50 plus 90, which will be equal to 140. That means the biggest to make up into 180 would have been 40. Now, while the other two angles are large, such as 60 and 100, then these two becomes 160. So the lower bound would have been 20 for the angle C. So 20 to 40 would have been our answer. All right, let's look at the next question. Number 16, in an equilateral triangle, what is the difference between some of the exterior angles in any polygon would be equal to 360, and some of the interior angles, in fact, we know that to be 180. So the difference between those two would be equal to 180. Number 117, we have three angles. Obviously, what we can do is x plus 2x plus 2 and plus 3x plus 4. When you add up all three angles, it becomes 180 degrees. So here we have 6x plus 6 must be equal to 180, which makes 6x alone, it becomes 174. Now, when you divide by 6 on each side, then x will be equal to, yes, 29. 29 becomes our answer. Choice number 1. All right, 118. Now, once again, we have three angles to be uh, given here. So then we end up getting, yes, 3x plus 5 plus 4x minus 15, and then also plus 2x plus 10 is equal to 180. This will be our first step. Now then we get to realize that plus 10 and plus 5 and minus 15, they will cancel out, which leads us into having 9x equal to 180. Then the value of x must be equal to 20. Now since value of x equals 20, this becomes 65 degrees. Here, in fact, this one becomes 65 also, while this angle becomes, yes, this angle becomes 50. And what does that mean? Then we are looking at angle D and E are the same. And we don't see that. So, if this is D and then this is E, those two angles are the same, then we get to realize that these two line segments must be also equal to each other, DF and EF. DF and EF. Alright. Now, we have 2, 3, 5, the ratio. That means what we can do is 2x plus 3x plus 5x has to be equal to 180. Now, here then we get to realize 10x is equal to 180. Therefore, x must be equal to 18. Then when you plug in 18 over here, then 2 becomes 36. 3 becomes 54. And 5 becomes 90. That's right. So one of the angles becomes 90. Therefore, it must be a right angle. All right, let's look into the next question. Find the value of x, same way as before. X plus 3x plus 5x minus 54 equals to 180. Then we get to realize here 9x minus 54 is equal to 180. Therefore, 9x must be equal to, by adding 54 on each side, we get to realize 234. Therefore, x must be equal to, uh, that's right, 26. Then, I believe we found our answer. Number 121, in the right triangle, angle D is 90, and then F is 12 degrees less than twice of E. Now, that means measure of angle F is 12 degrees less than twice of E. Now then here, but the thing is, we get to realize that when you add up those two angles, angle E and angle F, let's call them using these two letters, that must be equal to 90 because the other angles are already 90. And by putting this one into this location, we get to realize E plus 3 becomes 3E minus 12 is equal to 90, which gives us 3E must be equal to 1 or 2. That makes E is equal to 34. And I believe that is our final answer. Alright, let's move on. Number 129. Here we have angle LK and LKN. This measure of the angle. Why don't we call that as X? Now you see the measure of the exterior angle is sum of two non-adjacent angles. Here we have therefore X must be equal to 70 plus 50. That's it, which is equal to 120. 120 degrees. That becomes our answer. Okay, here, same way as before. Angle BCD here becomes 6x plus 2, and BAC, which is this portion of the angle, is 3x plus 15, and the other portion of the angle, ABC, becomes 2x minus 1. That means when you add up these two angles, it must be equal to the measure of the exterior angle. So 3x plus 15 plus 2x minus 1 must be equal to 6x plus 2. And here we have 5x plus 14 is equal to 6x plus 2. Now by subtracting 2 from each side and subtracting 5x also from each side, we get to realize that x must be equal to 12. Now value of x equals 12, right over here. Now same way as before, angle A is x, and then angle B is 2x plus 15. Angle ACD is 5x plus 5. Then what do you think the equation will be? That's right. You have to add x plus 2x plus 15. The measure of two non-adjacent remote angles must be equal to 5x plus 5. And here we have 3x plus 15 equals 5x plus 5. By subtracting 5 and subtracting 3x, then we get to realize 10 must be equal to 2x. So therefore value of x must be equal to 5. But we are looking for angle B. Then when you plug in 5 in place of x, we end up getting 10 plus 15, which is equal to 25. Choice number 3. Now here we have same kind of concept. 6x plus 20. That measure of the exterior angle must be sum of two non-adjacent angles. Then here we have 6x plus 20 must be equal to 5x plus 35. And by subtracting 5x from each side, so as subtracting 20 from each side, we get to realize that x must be equal to 15. Now, they're looking for a measure of the angle QPT. QPT, which means the exterior angle. When you plug in 15 in place of x, we end up getting 110 degrees. Right, number 133. Here, one thing that which we get to realize is that yes, exterior angle is sum of these two. So in fact, this one should have been equal to each other, then they would make sense. But otherwise, angle ABC has to be greater than angle C or angle D. So that'll be choice number 3. All right, now, so in this case, we have a triangle. So here we have PQ of the triangle has been extended through Q. So this must be Q, PQ, and then this must be T, which makes this one into R. So then once again, what do you realize? The measure of the exterior angle is greater than each of the remote angles or equal to some of the remote angles, but not always true. Now, RQT, that's greater than angle R, that is true. And then RQT is greater than angle P, so as that is true. Now, the measure of the exterior angle is sum of two remote angles, that's also true. RQT, which is the exterior angle, has to be greater than PQR, interior angle, that's right adjacent to it. That we have no idea based upon the kind of triangle that which we are looking at. So therefore, our answer must be choice D. That's not always true. Okay, so here we will be using the idea of sum of the exterior angles are always equal to 360. Now here we have one exterior angle 60, another one, and we have x, but we don't have this one. You will realize that since the adjacent interior angle is 140, this must be equal to 40 because they are supplementary. Then here it goes, x plus 40 plus 60 plus 84 plus 68. When you add them up, that must be equal to 360 degrees. Here we have 100, and this is what, 150, 152, 100, so we end up getting x plus 252 must be equal to 360. That leaves us x to be equal to 108, and that becomes our final answer, choice C. Alright, let's look into the next question. Sum of the measure of the interior angles is equal to sum of the measure of the exterior angle. You see, as we talked about it earlier, sum of the measures of the exterior angle is always 360 degrees, no matter what the polygon might have been. Now, the sum of the interior angles, okay, if the sum of the interior angle is 360, then I'm sure many of you guys will know what kind of figure that is. Now, what if you didn't know? Then we'll try to set up the equation to solve it, just in case. So here, some of the angles, interior angles in any polygon will be 180 times n minus 2, and that must be equal to 360. Now, that means what we can do is we can divide by 180, then we get n minus 2 must be equal to 2. That gives n equals 4. Like we guessed that's right, quadrilateral becomes the polygon that which we are talking about here. 169. Regular octagon. Regular octagon here, octagon means 8-sided. So, but we are looking for one interior angle. How are we going to get that? 180 times n minus 2. Same way as before. This gives us a sum. So if we divide by n, this will get a measure of one interior angle. So here we have 8 has been the number 8 minus 2 divided by 8. That's basically what we're looking for. So here, then we have, once you calculate this one, this becomes 6. So 6 times 1 becomes 600, so we get 1080 divided by 8. Now, once you try to divide this one by 8, we end up getting 135. Therefore, our answer will be choice number 4. Alright, number 170. What is the measure of each interior angles of the regular hexagon? Regular hexagon, if you memorize some of these things, would be great. If not, what we could have done was 180, same way as before. 6 minus 2 divided by 6 because we have total 6 angles. And we end up getting here 720 divided by 6, which is equal to 120 degrees. Choice number 2. Alright, here we have what is the measure of angle AEB? Angle AEB. But did you notice that since it's a regular pentagon, this side is equal to that side? And those of you who memorize the angle, or using the same way as before, 180 times 5 minus 2 divided by 5, then I'm hoping that all of you will realize that this must be equal to 108 degrees. Since this is an isosceles triangle, if you think about one angle is 108, then the other angle has to be x and x. What we can do is 2x plus 108 must be equal to 180. By subtracting 108, then 2x becomes 72, where x becomes 36. So therefore, angle AEB, which we called it as x, then must be equal to 36 degrees. Find in degrees the measure of both interior and exterior angle of regular pentagon. Regular pentagon, here we could have, in order for us to get measure of one exterior angle here, all you have to do is 360 divided by, and the sum is equal to 360, that means each individual one we just have to divide by number of sides, or number of the angles. Then here in this case we are looking at 360 divided by 5, so we end up getting 108. Now, for the measure of the interior angle, we could use the formula that we just talked about earlier. Or another thing is, since we know that one angle, exterior angle is 108, then the interior angle must be 72 because they are supplementary. So 72 degrees. Alright, that's it. And I'll see you later. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.